Welcome to The New Next, a podcast that addresses current events and how they will impact the future. Co-hosted by the inquisitive public speaking champion, Mike McVeigh, and energy, economics, and technology expert, Matt Jensen. Join us as we explore all things energy, economic, tech, and political, and how they will affect our future. All right. So, a friend of mine, and this is a true story, recently talked about how if you clean correctly, that the water from the sink, from the kitchen sink, is just as good as the water from the the bathroom sink is just as good as the water from the kitchen sink. And that the water inside the toilet is just as good as the water in the kitchen or bathroom sink that comes from the faucet. Well, that might not be as true as we move forward, as Los Angeles has started the process to put recycled water directly to tap. That in itself is not really that big of a deal.
Poo-poo water in
its own right. It sounds a lot worse, but water has... Well, we're going to get to that. It's not that. It's not toilet to tap, which is a 90s thing. We'll come back to that in just a minute. But one thing that needs to be kind of known. Okay, well, if you want, we'll get you the bottled water, the poop flavor. You can just
I know some water treatment companies that do
I'm sure
a wonderful
Dasani
job
will be glad to
that,
service that with their salt water. All right, so when you hear recycled water going directly to tap, yes, we think some of the worst things, but one thing that needs to kind of be known is that water has always been recycled. It's the way that we do it. The thing that's becoming a little bit different is we've generally used an indirect potable reuse, and what LA is trying to do is to have a direct potable reuse, which is directly if I can read my own writing, to directly put back into the drinking water instead of putting it into an environmental barrier where it will sit like in a tank for years at a time and before it gets used. And as you have said multiple times, oh yeah, let's drink the poop water. It's toilet to tap. This caused a big stir back in the 1990s. There's a couple different communities in California in particular that tried this, and Miller Brewing Company actually sued the city, one of these California cities, partially because of fear and partially because that being their main source of water.
Extra fermented.
Oh, let's have Miller beer because that's the poop beer. Now, even that was not unsuccessful, but ultimately a lot of things have happened since the 90s. I mean, it's been 20, 25 years, based on some of these devastating droughts that have gone on, some of the scientific advancements that have gone on. We are being able to purify water at a even better rate before. There's a thing called log removals. I've told you, I know you've noticed I have not looked at the article. This is from my notes and stuff. Log removals, which I love the idea because all of a sudden I think of Frogger going across the road and then jumping on the logs. But a log removal is what measures how many contaminants are removed from the water during each step, as opposed to trying to figure out how many contaminants remain. Generally speaking, 3 log removals is equivalent to 99.9% removal contaminants. And California is going to require at least 20 log removals. So it's going to definitely chip away at majority of the contaminants. In fact, right now, most of our water, wherever you're getting it from the U.S., is not as good as this. So I want to make sure this isn't literally the poop water, even though it sounds funny. I find this so funny on so many different levels. It's not in California, but I believe it's New York. There's actually bills and stuff that says you cannot use rainwater for anything other than plants. You can't use it to shower or use for anything else. And they try to say it's because science, because there's chemicals in the water. And that is true sometimes. But the real thing is because the people, again, lobbyists and stuff of we want the water being bought. We don't want the free water. And they were going as far as saying that the water being used from rain, that people who had a rain cup were stealing from the water company and from the people of New York. I mean, this is not a joke. This is actually in lawsuits and stuff. So I absolutely love this idea that LA is really putting forth funds. I think this is much more forward thinking. We've talked a lot recently about governments making decisions that seem forward thinking, and you fast forward 20 years and oh crap. Now that being said, yes, that being said, they've actually experienced some of their own little versions of problems with this. Hyperion had a major a breach a few years ago, and it caused thousands and thousands of gallons that basically became toxic and stuff. It ruined a lot of the drinking water.
We had
so I don't want to pretend like this has not
Seattle back in the day too.
That this is just perfect, right? But I think maybe this is just my optimism, but this makes me think of Chernobyl, where it's like, oh crap, we realized what not to do. And so they're putting safeguards in place to make this a much safer thing. They're not just doing, last time they kind of just went forward with it. And then when issues came up, it's like, oh, well, we're just out of water. What they're trying to do now is have some reserves already pre-built before they go live with this, which already shows that they've learned a lesson. Maybe not all the lessons, but they are definitely working towards it. I'm really excited to see how this works out, to be honest. This is one that makes it's kind of like a feel-good story of where, like, hey, we admit that we've screwed up in the past, but water that to the cleanliness of toilet water, and this is doesn't have to be the same cleanliness as our kitchen sink water, other water, like though our dogs might still be the same.
You did.
I know I talked a lot about on this one, but I want you to see how much research I did on this on my own, so you'd be proud of me. Are you proud of me, Matt?
Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, this is awesome. So their goal is to recycle 100% of their wastewater by 2035 for Los Angeles specifically. But I think some of the biggest innovation in the United States, whether that relates to emissions, but also just kind of like our environmental optimization, is around water and water reuse. So, like, for instance, with a lot of wastewater treatment plants, there's a lot of methane that's basically emitted off of that. But, you know, for instance, you could capture the methane coming off from the sewage, the human feces and stuff like that, and use that for energy. You can use a lot of the compounds that you filter out as fertilizer, and then all this water can basically be pulled out and reused. You can make hydrogen out of these water treatment plant stuff. So this stuff already needs to be treated somewhat. So I just don't really see, especially for, I guess, larger, wealthier areas, I don't really see the reason not to take it to another level and use it to, replenish aquifers, or basically put it into systems that can be used for, I guess, to replace other consumption. But I'm really excited for this. Like, there's companies that I know really, really well. BioDAF, for instance, I've got friends that work there, and it's they do things really, really well. They're smart people. They can basically build and design anything, and they've got a system that's extremely innovative that helps people cut costs and increase treatment speed. So like a lot of the stuff that you have with excessive energy usage or really having to wait for a long time for the sedimentation process doesn't necessarily exist anymore, and allows you to do some of these higher level, I guess, like reverse osmosis, osmosis processes, and really reverse osmosis. I should be able to say it better. I've built one before.
Say that 5 times fast.
So it's kind of funny. It's been a while, but there's a lot of, yeah, I guess maybe I'm a nerd about this because I've built it before myself. Kind of like, energy industry too, but I'm so excited for, water treatment stuff in the future. There's I think it's 2025 or 2030 border plan between Mexico and the United States too, where the EPA and the Mexican version of the EPA are working on basically treatment processes to process runoff too and reduce pollution there. There's a lot of cool, I would say, large scale federal or large state funded projects like we're talking about here for California, Los Angeles, that are really going to, I believe, test the limits of what we've seen in the past. And
if you would like to learn more about the New Next podcast, find us at thenewnextpodcast.com, where you can suggest a topic you would like for us to cover. If you enjoyed what you heard, share the podcast, tell a friend about it, or rate us with 5 stars.